5 solos, 1 legend. These David Gilmour guitar moments will leave you breathless, especially number 1. The solos that shook the world. In the history of rock music, few guitarists have been able to touch the soul of listeners quite like David Gilmour. The legendary Pink Floyd guitarist is not celebrated for speed or flashy tricks, but for something far rarer, his ability to make every single note feel like it carries the weight of an entire lifetime. His solos aren't just performances, they are stories, drenched in emotion and built on phrasing so precise that it often leaves audiences stunned in silence before erupting in applause. Over the decades, fans and critics alike have debated which of his solos stand as his finest, but 5 pieces consistently rise above the rest. These are the moments that didn't just define albums, they defined generations, leaving chills that still ripple across the music world today. And while every fan has their own list, the 5 we're about to explore carry something undeniable. They represent the very heart of Gilmour's genius, each one more unforgettable than the last. Marooned. When discussing David Gilmour's greatest moments, many fans immediately jump to Pink Floyd's iconic hits, but true connoisseurs know that Marooned deserves a place among his finest solos. Released on the 1994 album The Division Bell, this instrumental track earned the band a Grammy Award for Best Rock Instrumental Performance. Yet beyond accolades, what makes Marooned extraordinary is how it strips Gilmour's playing down to its purest emotional form. Without lyrics or vocals to guide the listener, Gilmour's guitar becomes the voice, weaving a sonic landscape that feels both fast and intimate. The notes echo like cries across an empty horizon, with sustained bends and delicate phrasing creating a haunting sense of isolation, exactly what the title suggests. Fans often describe listening to Marooned as being transported to another place, as though floating in space or walking alone through endless fields. It's a showcase of restraint, proof that Gilmour doesn't need speed or complexity to move an audience, just the perfect note played at the perfect time. Even live, the piece became a moment of reflection during Pink Floyd shows, when the lights dimmed and audiences were left breathless. And while Marooned may not carry the mainstream recognition of some other Floyd classics, it embodies everything that makes Gilmour a master of emotion over flash. But if this instrumental was enough to win him a Grammy, what came next would prove that his genius extended far beyond atmosphere. It could cut sharp, political, and electrifying. Pigs, 3 different ones. If Marooned showed David Gilmour's ability to create haunting landscapes, Pigs, 3 different ones revealed his biting edge, both musically and politically. Featured on Pink Floyd's 1977 album Animals, this track was Gilmour at his most ferocious, channeling anger and satire through a guitar solo that still leaves listeners stunned. Unlike his soaring, melodic passages on songs like Time or Comfortably Numb, here Gilmour's tone is sharp, aggressive, and almost mocking, perfectly matching the song's critique of greed and hypocrisy. Using a talkbox effect and jagged phrasing, he sculpted a solo that felt less like music and more like a confrontation. The performance proved that Gilmour wasn't just a master of melancholy, he could wield his guitar as a weapon, slicing through complacency with every bend and squeal. Fans often recall the Animals tour as one of Pink Floyd's most politically charged eras, and it was solos like this that gave the music its venom. Decades later, guitarists still marvel at the raw attitude of this piece, often citing it as one of the boldest statements Gilmour ever made on his instrument. And yet, as powerful as Pigs was in capturing outrage, Gilmour's genius lay in balance. He could follow fury with tenderness, rage with reflection. That contrast became crystal clear in one of his most iconic works, a song dedicated to Shine On You Crazy Diamond. If there is one piece that captures the very heart of David Gilmour's emotional depth, it is Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Released on Wish You Were Here in 1975, this sprawling 9-part epic was Pink Floyd's tribute to their lost bandmate, Syd Barrett, whose absence haunted the group. And right at its center lies Gilmour's guitar, aching, mournful, and unforgettable. From the opening notes, his playing doesn't just tell a story, it feels like a cry for someone who slipped away too soon. Every bend stretches with longing, every sustained note hangs in the air like a memory that refuses to fade. The solo is spacious, never rushed, allowing the silence between notes to weigh as heavily as the phrases themselves. It's this restraint, this mastery of timing, that makes the piece so chilling. Fans often describe listening to Shine On as standing in a room filled with ghosts, with Gilmour's guitar as the voice that summons them. Live performances only heightened the effect. Stadiums would fall eerily quiet as his notes drifted upward, leaving tens of thousands frozen in shared reflection. Critics have long called it one of the greatest tributes in rock history, not just for its lyrical themes but for the way Gilmour poured Sid's absence into pure sound. And yet, as poignant as Shine On remains, the very next solo in his catalogue would show a different kind of mastery, not haunting and reflective, but urgent, cathartic, and timeless. Time. Few songs capture the fleeting nature of life with as much power as Pink Floyd's Time from the 1973 masterpiece The Dark Side of the Moon. And at its core is David Gilmour's breathtaking solo, a piece that has become a masterclass in tension and release. The song itself builds slowly, its ticking clocks and echoing lyrics reminding listeners that life is slipping away faster than we realize. Then, suddenly, Gilmour's guitar erupts, not with speed, but with fire and emotion that feels almost desperate, like a man raging against the inevitable passage of time. His phrasing cuts deep, alternating between piercing bends and smooth melodic lines, each note carrying urgency and sorrow in equal measure. What makes this solo unforgettable is its balance. It's both technically precise and emotionally raw, capturing frustration, regret, and acceptance all in a few short minutes. Fans often point out that the solo doesn't just complement the lyrics, it expands them, saying what words alone cannot. In live performances, the solo often stretched longer, Gilmour bringing even more intensity from his guitar, leaving entire arenas breathless. Critics consistently rank it among the greatest guitar solos ever recorded, proof that Gilmour didn't need shredding or flash to command the world's attention. Yet, as powerful as Time is, there remains one solo that towers above them all, performance so iconic that it has defined Gilmour's career and is still regarded as one of the greatest moments in rock history. Comfortably Numb. At the very top of nearly every list of greatest guitar solos sits David Gilmour's masterpiece, Comfortably Numb. Featured on Pink Floyd's 1979 album The Wall, this track contains not one, but two solos that have cemented Gilmour's legacy as a guitarist who can move hearts with just a few notes. The first solo is subtle, almost restrained, easing listeners into the emotional storm to come. But it's the second solo, the one that closes the song, that has become legendary. With soaring bends, sustained notes that seem to last forever, and phrasing that feels like it's reaching for the heavens, Gilmour delivers not just a guitar solo, but an experience. Fans often describe chills, goosebumps, even tears when they hear it, as if the guitar is voicing emotions they didn't know they had. The solo has been ranked countless times among the best in history, consistently earning top spots in polls by Guitar World, Rolling Stone, and more. Live, it only grew more powerful. Performances at Earl's Court, at Pulse in 1994, and even his solo concerts decades later showed Gilmour stretching the solo into minutes of pure transcendence, each version slightly different, but always unforgettable. What makes Comfortably Numb the pinnacle is not technical flash, but the way every note feels inevitable, deliberate, and drenched in feeling. It is music as catharsis, music as revelation. And while this solo may stand as his crowning achievement, the story of David Gilmour doesn't end with his greatest moments, it also includes the surprising choices he's made about what not to play. Gilmour's controversial song choices and what he refuses to play. For decades, David Gilmour has carried the sound of Pink Floyd on his shoulders, but in recent years he's made headlines not for the songs he performs, but for the ones he refuses to touch. Despite fan demand, Gilmour has openly stated that classics like Run Like Hell, Another Brick in the Wall, and Money will not appear in his solo set lists. His reasoning is surprisingly blunt: he doesn't feel ownership over them. To him, those tracks represent pieces more closely tied to Roger Waters, Floyd's other creative force, and Gilmour has no desire to step into territory that doesn't feel authentically his. The decision shocked many longtime fans who expected these staples to always remain part of his shows. Yet, in typical Gilmour fashion, the move underscores his insistence on sincerity. He would rather play lesser-known pieces like Marooned or High Hopes than deliver crowd pleasers that don't connect to his own artistic identity. While some critics accused him of alienating casual listeners, others applauded the integrity, noting that Gilmour has always valued emotional truth over spectacle. In a way, it mirrors his guitar solos themselves, never about speed or flash, always about meaning. Still, the choice adds a layer of tension to his legacy. How does a legend balance the expectations of millions with the honesty of his own heart? That conflict only makes his career more fascinating, showing that even in his later years, Gilmour continues to challenge both himself and his audience. Why these solos still give us chills? Decades after their release, David Gilmour's solos continue to haunt, inspire, and electrify listeners around the world. They endure not because of technical speed or flashy pyrotechnics, but because they speak directly to the human spirit. Whether it's the lonely expanse of Marooned, the biting anger of Pigs, Three Different Ones, the aching tribute of Shine on You Crazy Diamond, the urgent cry of Time, or the transcendent heights of Comfortably Numb, each solo reveals a different layer of Gilmour's artistry. They prove that one perfectly placed note can strike harder than 1,000 played in haste, and that emotion will always outlast technique. Even his refusal to perform certain classics reminds us of his commitment to authenticity, choosing truth over convenience, sincerity over spectacle. For fans, that integrity is part of what makes these solos so powerful. They are not just performances, they are reflections of who Gilmour is. And as long as his guitar continues to echo across headphones, stadiums, and hearts, those notes will keep delivering the same shivers they gave on the first listen. These solos are not just music, they are moments frozen in time, capable of giving chills to anyone willing to listen closely.